Hey guys, Cubehamster here and welcome to the tutorial of the Minecraft tank that you see behind me. If you've not seen my previous video, I recommend clicking the button at the top right, which will lead you to a video showing this thing in action. It's really cool. It's awesome. In this video, I will be showing you in 16 steps how to make a functioning tank that you can control in survival in Minecraft. But before we start, there's one thing I want to make sure, and that is that if you're watching this video in the future, or you're playing on the Windows 10 or Minecraft Pocket Edition, that there is a chance that this design is not going to work for you. If you want to know if this thing will work, you will need to do the following. There's a very quick way to check. You will need to grab an observer block. And I'm just going to place it in the air like this. Then I'm going to add a sticky piston and a normal block. I say normal, but apparently I took a silverfish block. Ignore that. But what needs to happen in your version, either in the future or in whatever version you're on right now, if you use a flint and steel on the observer block, it has to leave the block behind. And the second time you use the observer block, it has to grab it back. If this is not the case in the version that you are playing in right now, this design is not going to work. Don't waste time following this tutorial. It will 100%, it will not work, which is unfortunate. So to get that out of the way, there's a couple of other disclaimers that I have to do. First of all, I'm going to be doing this tutorial relatively quickly. That's because I cannot adjust my speed to your exact needs. There's going to be a lot of people watching this video. Each person has their own speed. Please, YouTube has this amazing functionality where it has like a pause button, which allows you to pause the video. Click it, please. I'm going to go fast. If I go too fast, just pause. And then when you continue, just play. And then pause again. Just like that. That's my first disclaimer. Second disclaimer, this thing is relatively complex. 95% of the blocks in this build, probably more actually, are like important for the functionality of the tank. This means that if you forget a block, misplace a block, add a block too many, there's a 99% chance that this is not going to work. So bear that in mind. Just stick to what I'm doing and hopefully it will be okay. If none of those things bother you and you're still willing to go through with this, it's not too bad, like it's 16 steps. Then I suggest you stay tuned and we start building stuff. Rawr. Now, in order to start, I recommend giving yourself a 7 by 13 build area to make sure that there's no slime blocks that are bumping into walls and stuff, and also to make sure that you have a long forward flat surface that you can ride on. There can be brushes and stuff, but you generally don't want any blocks on the road because they might stick to the underside of the tank and such. If all that has been sorted, then we will begin with step 1, which is essentially sort of the main drive shaft for the tank. 5 blocks from the side. In the middle, we're going to go up 2 blocks with a slime block. And then we'll place a total of 4 slime blocks, followed by a sticky piston. Then we're going to make like a sort of T shape, like this. Place observer blocks with the arrow towards myself, and again with the arrow towards myself here. And then we'll have a sticky piston here and a sticky piston here. And that is step 1. Now that we're done with step 1, we can move on to the back end of the tank. We have 2 sticky pistons here. We're going to add some slime blocks, like so. And we're going to add an observer block facing outwards, like this. And an observer block facing outwards, like this. And we're going to have a piston facing down. And then a solid block here. And this can be anything as long as a solid block. And a solid block here. Now, what we're doing here now is that the piston that I'm looking at right now is the one that kind of pushes the tank tracks on the upper layer forward, but it has to trigger twice. And what will happen now is as it moves forward, it will trigger. And then when, after a certain amount of time, this piston will extend, which will trigger the observer blocks again, which will power this block, which will power a piston there, allowing it to be triggered twice. So that is essentially the thing that allows for the double trigger. As for step 3, let's actually place those pistons. You're going to place an observer block up here facing forward and an observer block here. Then we're going to have a normal piston facing forward below that and on the other side as well. And then in order to pull up blocks from the threads, a sticky piston facing down next to the observer block and a sticky piston down here as well. And those are 2 of the 3 pistons on each side that control the tank threads. Now for step 4, we have to do a little bit more stuff on the back. First, we're going to place an observer block facing this way, which will be triggering a piston. And then we're going to have a observer block facing downward, which when placed will trigger this piston, which is fine. It will thereby also update these observer blocks and trigger this piston. And then we're going to have 2 blocks here, just normal blocks. This is kind of just for aesthetics. And also for aesthetics, most tanks have like fuel tanks at the back. And I kind of just added upside down staircases for this, but you could probably do something else as well if you wish. But that is step 4. As for step 5, we're just going to, for a moment, place a block here. So we can place an observer blocks to the side here. Then get rid of this block. And then we're going to have like a shape like this. You're going to have a sticky piston facing backwards. This is in order to pull this observer block forward whenever this thing gets moved. Then we're going to have a normal block here and then an observer block forward. There we go. That's that step. For step 6, we're going to need to place a couple pistons. First is one going to be up here. This one is going to push the cannon essentially. Then we're going to have a piston here. And you're going to place a solid block down here, then a downward facing observer block with below that another sticky piston. That is step 6. For step 7, we're going to add some blocks to the drive shaft. 1 block there, solid, 1 block there, 1 block there, then a sticky piston facing forward, and this is the sticky piston that controls the start-stop mechanism, and then an observer block towards the side, which is the thing that actually powers part of the engine. But that is step 7. For step 8, we're going to finish the pistons for the tracks on the right side. First, what you want to do is you want to place a block here, then remove the other block. Then we're going to get like a sort of corner shape with Slimeblocks. Then an observer block facing forward, and then a normal piston facing downward. And these 3 pistons, and this one, will control the threads on the right. And congratulations, you've now made it halfway through the tutorial. Now for step 9, we're going to do the pistons on the other side of the tracks. 2 blocks forward, we're going to get another one of these corner shapes with a normal piston below it. And then a little bit awkward, but we're going to have to go to the side here so that we can place an observer block that is aimed into the block next to the piston. Then we're going to place another observer block like this forward, and then the 3rd piston on the left threads downward like that. So these 3 pistons will control the threads on the left side. As for step 10, we're going to finish the loop on our engine. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to go up 3 blocks, then get rid of the one below. Then get another one of these sort of corner shapes going on, and then a sticky piston facing backwards. Now, if you're interested in knowing how or what I mean by a loop or how engines in this game work, there will be a pop-up on the top right now, which will link to my ultimate Slimeblock tutorial series. And even though there isn't much on Observerblocks yet, there's actually nothing on Observerblocks yet, the tutorial series there should give you a pretty good idea of how flying machines work, how you can control them, and what sort of like things you can do to kind of manipulate them. So I'd recommend, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, check out the link on the top right now. But yeah, the loop on the engine is done now. Now at step 11, in order to not accidentally trigger our tank so that it starts moving, we're going to place an immovable block here. I'm using obsidian. You can technically also use a note block or a jukebox or a furnace or an extended piston, whatever you want. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to place the trigger mechanism for our start-stop engine, which will be a downward-facing observer block. So you can see the sort of smiley face at the top there. And then we're going to place 1, 2, 3 blocks like that. That is step 11. Now, step 12 is going to be a tiny one. You're going to place. This is purely aesthetic, but I'm using a crafting bench here. Then a normal block. Shift click, obviously. And then upside down slab there. And that's essentially, that's the window from the cockpit. And you'll be able to trigger and so start and stop the tank through the slab, which is really cool. But that is this step. As for step 13, we're going to add a little bit more body to the tank, as well as add the escape hatch. You're going to want to place an observer block facing backwards, like so. Then a sticky piston and a normal block, and this block will get, pulled whenever the tank moves forward. And then we're going to place an observer block towards the outside here, and then a sticky piston like this, and a solid block there. And now this, what I'm looking at right now, is the escape hatch, which you can trigger from inside the cockpit and outside with flint and steel. And as you can see, it pushes and pulls the block whenever you click this. Now, it's important, it's super important, I'll say this again later, I'm saying it now as well. Whenever you decide to start your tank, this block has to be in this position. If it's like this, and you move the tank, the block will not get pulled, this sticky piston will move forward, and this block will get attached to it, making this piston go over the 12 block push limit, stopping your tank. So whenever you start it, make sure that the block is like this. If not, it breaks. That was step 13. Lucky number 13. As for step 14, we're going to place some blocks for aesthetical reasons. First off, we're going to have some upside down staircase blocks here, which will block out the cockpit so you can't get shot with bows and such. So 3 of those. On the other side, not 3, but 2. 1, 2. And then there's still an opening here, but we can close that with a solid block there, completely making the cockpit closed when it's stopped, and you still have a window to look out of. That is step 14. We are almost done. Step 15, we're going to add the gun. It doesn't shoot, unfortunately. We're going to add it anyway. We're going to have a solid block here, then a slime block, and then it's not in my inventory right now. We're going to get some wall blocks, cobblestone walls. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think this kind of looks like a gun, so I grabbed an observer and placed it on the front like this, so you get like the red circle thingy, which is also kind of cool because whenever the tank moves forward, it kind of like lights up red. And then we're going to need a trapdoor. This one is the one you'll probably mainly use to get into the tank, in and out. And I have one on the other side as well, which is not as functional because you can't actually go down here, but you can technically do others, like maybe shoot or something. I don't know, it's more of an error. It's symmetry. Yeah, let's just call it symmetry. But that's the gun, step 15. And then at step 16, the finishing touch, which is adding the threads. I'm using birchwood, like this. But you can obviously use other stuff as well. I think this looks cool, but use whatever you want. What is important though is that there are some observer blocks, mainly like this one for instance, that if you place a block next to that, it's going to do horrible things. So what you want to do is, let's start with that one, actually build it from here and then place it like that. And obviously you can place like something like that. You probably have to go down here and get rid of that. Another one there, And another one there, another one there. It's going to be 6 by 2. Let's replace those back. Then, oh, like that, like that, like that, like that. Let's quickly get rid of that stuff. So that's the threads on this side without accidentally triggering an observer block. Similar issue on the other side. That observer block you do not want to trigger under any circumstance. So let's grab these again and let's go like this. And I'm stuck now, but let's get out. Like that, like that. Actually, no. This has to be open still. Then like that, like that, like that, and like that. And let's get rid of all this stuff there. And then the bottom row. So we get 6 by 2 on the other side as well. Let's go down here. Get rid of all that stuff. And there we go. You finished the tank. Actually, there's one tiny thing we need to do. Now, before you start this thing up, there's one important thing that we still have to do. And that is, before we start it, you should make a backup. You can do this by going to your Minecraft folder and just literally making a copy of the world. I use this technique a lot because things tend to mess up if you forget a block or something along those lines. So make a copy. And I just did make a copy, and I noticed that I actually forgot to place a block in the design. So there's a good thing that I did make a copy before I started it up. We're going to quickly fix that. We're going to hop in. This is the one that I tested and messed up. Let's actually, is it this one? No, this is the one. So this is what you have right now. We're missing one block, and it's part of the drive shaft. It literally, I messed up at step 1. We can quickly fix it. You're going to hop down here, and you're going to just destroy this slime block for a bit, and then you're going to place an observer block facing downward, so that you have like the observer smiley face thing, smiley face, I don't know what kind of face it is, upward, and you just replace the slime block there. So there. Now that we have a fully finished design, again, make this copy that I just mentioned. This sort of stuff just happens. Like you screw up somewhere and it doesn't work. But once you've done this, you can remove the obsidian block down there. You can grab a flint and steel, and assuming you have a long flat surface ahead of you, what you can do is you can trigger this observer block and it will start moving forward with the tank treads and everything. And then once you want to stop it, you just trigger this and it stops it, and it does one extra step. And all this can be controlled from the cockpit as well. So you can jump down here, close the hatch, and you should be able to trigger the observer block from here. And you can then stop it. And like there's such an incredibly high, like this. I have not managed to mess it up by clicking at the wrong time, but just make sure that you click only once though. Don't spam it, just click once on the observer block and it should work. Then in order to get out, you can activate this, open the hatch, and you can jump. And just make sure that before you activate it again, you always move this block back, and you can do that by triggering the slime block here, which closes the sort of escape hatch. But then you should be good to go. So I can start it up again now. So guys, so much for the tutorial. I sincerely hope that you guys managed to get this thing to work. It is extremely cool. I'm going to be doing more messing around with these sorts of observer block based designs, because you can, as you can see, you can do pretty insane and compact stuff. But it is just really, really cool. If you do manage to get this to work on a console edition, I don't own a console edition, so I can't be sure. If it does work, please let me know in the comments. And just generally getting, feedback of this thing working and you getting it to work. If you did, please post it in a comment. Like, it makes my day to hear that I've done a good job. So guys, like always, thanks for watching. Sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and got it to work, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.